Hey, Pawn Leaders, welcome back to the Pawn Leaders podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And for those of you who have left a review, I really, really appreciate it. And if you could share this with other pawnbrokers as well as employees, it would give great value to the industry. With me, I have John Thedford, who is a pawn industry entrepreneur who has founded numerous successful corporations, including Value Pawn, Rent-Rite, La Familia Pawn, Premier Pawn, and most recently, Smart Financial. Thedford is a certified public accountant, as well as the author of the best-selling book, Smart Moves Management, which focuses on cultivating world-class people and profits. In 2008, Thedford was honored as a finalist in the Ernst & Young Florida Entrepreneur of the Year Award. In 2008, Corp. Inc. acquired Value Financial, or Value Pawn and Jewelry, the company Thedford founded for $120 million. And I'll say that again, $120 million. Thedford grew the chain from 3 Value Pawn stores in 1994 to 70 locations with over 800 employees. After the sale of Value Financial, Thedford founded numerous successful businesses, and today Thedford continues to offer high-end consulting services through his firm Initiative Consulting Group and remains the founder of Smart Financial. John, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I know you're a busy, busy man, and I know that you're going to give some incredible value to the pawnbrokers listening. And I want to start with something that you have in your bio, and I kind of took it out because I wanted it to be the first question. And that is your tenet. It's kind of like what you live by, your motto, right? Which is the most powerful force on earth is a human being engaged in meaningful work. Tell me about that.
Well, everybody who's got any experience has seen somebody who did the work of 2 people, and that doesn't matter whether it's a backroom associate, a sales associate, an assistant manager, a multi-unit manager. When you can find that person that is absolutely passionate about what they do, and they do the work of more than one person, they are engaged. And that one person can really move the world and can move an organization. And so the most powerful force on this earth is a human engaged in meaningful work. Now, I'll tell you the most equally as destructive is a person not engaged in meaningful work. And we call those the brotherhood of the miserable. And they can destroy a work group. They can destroy a customer interaction. And so that's why I go back to the most powerful force on this earth is a human engaged in meaningful work. To get there, you got to select with science, which means hiring, I believe, is the hardest decision we make in business. Who do you hire? And if you're not going about it in a systematic and trained way, and everybody's not good at hiring. Some people are better at it than others. And so within your organization, you've got to measure and find the people that are good at hiring. Got to select with science, which means standard set of interview questions, psychological profile, calibrated amongst your top performers. And then each and every day, you got to hold it together with leadership and culture. So our job as the pawn leaders you referenced as we started this is our job, quite simply, is to, in every position, and as part of our mission statement, excellence in every role. Every position must be staffed to excellence, and they must be an engaged person that's a great team member that likes to be managed and measured and wants to win. And every day as leaders, we've got to hold it together with culture and leadership and create purpose and create meaningful lives of the people that we work with so that they do above extraordinary work. And then when they do above extraordinary work, guess what? We all win. The consumers win, the team wins, and life is about being fully engaged.
I love it. And I can see your passion. I mean, people are listening to this. They're not watching it. And we'll put it up on YouTube in the future. But you can see your passion, the way like you're moving your hands and how much you really care about that tenet that you just said. Yeah. Now, before we get into how to do that stuff, I want to talk about your history. How did a CPA jump into the pawn world? What happened? And how did you get from growing, the stores from 4 locations where it was to 70? So let's start with, how did you, John Thedford, get into the pawn industry?
Okay, so I'm a certified public accountant by professional training and studied real hard in college and made really good grades. And I got picked up by a very prestigious CPA firm right out of college called PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the 4 largest firms in the world. And in 1985, I was there at the intro, myself and the 6 other starting associates for that period. And they're like, okay, You're going to go work. You're going to go audit American Airlines. You're going to go audit JP Morgan Chase. And going around the room, they got to me and said, we've got a client that's got 15 stores. They're a chain of pawn shops. They're probably going to go bankrupt. You got to go audit them and collect the check. I'm like, what? And so I made straight A's in college to go to work for this prestigious firm, and I got to go work at a pawn shop. You're kidding me. And so that client was Cash America. And so I went and had to do audits of the stores and and I was like, oh my gosh, pawn shop, who would have ever thought? The customers are very happy. The people are very happy. That time at Cash America, they'd just grown too fast. They didn't have the money they needed. It wasn't a bad business. They just made some bad business decisions. Anyway, we helped them through their issues. And the next thing you know, I'm leading the audit for several years. And then they hired me away. And so I went to work for Cash America and led the accounting function. And we went public during that time. So I got to see that whole process. And then next thing you know, this chain of stores called Easy Corp down in Austin was up and going. And, there were very few pawn professionals. And so they picked me up, and I got to, and I was on the team that took them public too. And so in 1994, 93, I said, I'm going to do this on my own. So I drove my black Honda Accord to Orlando, Florida from, Fort Worth, Texas, and started from one store, not four, really started one, West Palm Beach. And with friends and family, I raised $30 million. And we started today was Value Pawn and Jewelry. We built that up to 70 stores. And I always told my investors when I was raising the money and on this long journey, I said, look, I was on the team that took Cash America public. I was on the team that took Easy Pawn public. I know every mistake they've made, and I'm not going to make any of them. And I didn't. I made bigger mistakes. I made mistakes they hadn't thought about. I made mistakes they hadn't thought about making. And but we certainly learned a lot along the way. And when we sold Value, our average store was doing about $2 million a year in revenue. Our average store was earning about $450,000 in profit. And it all comes down to my basic tenet, highly engaged people at every position. And so we've done a few more. We just recently did a $125 million equity raise. And with Smart Financial, we have 63 stores open. We'd like to be at about 120 by the end of this year. We've got those opportunities lined up. And, I feel like the industry is continues to be a great opportunity if you're willing to work hard. There's no secrets to our approach. It's great people. It's competing every day. And so that's how I got in the pawn business. Nice.
So I have a confession to make to you. I heard you speak at a pawn convention years ago when my brother and I had barely started in Cashco. And you were talking about how, managers at Value make $110,000 a year, $120,000 a year, pay your people more money. And I was looking at you like, what is this guy talking about? I'm in California. I'm making 4% interest. Yeah. I can barely pay myself a six-figure salary. And I thought you were crazy back then. Now fast forward a bunch of years, and having sold my portion of the pawn shop to my brother, having consulted some other pawn shops in the industry, I realized how important it is to pay people the best when it comes to the retail environment. And you talk about that. That's your smart moves number one, right? It's a prosperous wage. Yep. How did you guys get to that as your rule number one when it comes to, smart moves management?
Yep. High wages, I'm not a genius, so I copy a lot of things that, in fact, everything I do, I've copied. I wish I was creative and smart enough to come up with some things on my own, but we're great at replicating great practices. But, Costco, if you did the forever valuation of stock price on Costco, it's gone up like a Berkshire Hathaway. It's a 25, 27% on an annual forever basis improvement in stock price. Average associated Costco right now, $25 an hour, but you feel it when you go in there. Chick-fil-A, which is kind of the southeast, now they're a little farther apart. Average store manager to Chick-fil-A, $120,000 a year. So a Chick-fil-A does $4 million a year in revenue, closed Sundays, and the average Burger King and McDonald's do $1 million a year. Average manager makes about 60. So high wages are not just about paying the wrong people more money. It's about finding the right people and paying them what they're worth. And so, life's all about vision. You wind up, the good news is you wind up in life about where you see yourself. And so we want to get people at the manager level. We don't want people that don't see themselves making $100,000 a year. We want to get people already making $100,000 a year, bring them into our system, train them for a year, and then put them in role. And same thing, even with our sales associates. Right now in the United States, today we've got about 550 team members. And in the United States, we've got about 300, United States and Canada, we've got about 350 sales associates. We won't hire anybody for less. Today our number is $18 an hour. I mean, that doesn't mean we're going out and finding somebody making 10 and paying them 18. It means we're going out and finding people making 18, 15. And paying them that 18. And, again, in this environment of leadership and initiative, which is getting weaker, the difference between paying somebody 10 and 18 is night and day. And, we bought 17 stores in Canada. And we had our January financial review a couple of weeks ago. Last year, that group made $150,000 in the month of January. This year, they made $500,000. I'm sitting here. I got their financials right here. And great people. You got to start with great people. And so our wage strategy is the first step on our strategic path. You got to get the right people. We don't put up we don't put up with rookie stuff. We show up to work on time. We're professionally dressed. We're in this industry. We want to convey a great service and pride in what we do. But we go after people that have a vision and see themselves at a different place. And so that's part of our wage strategy. We don't want underdogs. We don't want people that don't see themselves at a great place in their life relative to their experiences and their education. We want people that want a new car. We want people that want a better place for their family. And so we want aspirational people, and it starts with our wage strategy.
So this is an edit. John, you're doing incredible. Just be careful when you're hitting the table because that comes up.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay. You're a passionate guy. I love it. Yeah. All right. So coming back. So there's a lot of employees who also listen to this podcast, and I'm sure they might be thinking, hey, I'm making 12, 13, 14 bucks an hour. John's paying $18 an hour. That's not fair. But what you're saying is you are paying the $18 to the rock stars.
Yep.
You're getting incredible employees who are engaged, who are entrepreneurial minded, who are taking care of your stores.
Yep. And
with pleasure, you'll pay them that money. But if they're subpar, if they don't have the leadership qualities, then you won't even take them on.
No, won't even talk to them. No. Right now today, we have 4 full-time recruiters that do nothing but go. So here's the deal. You want to find the number one manager at Rent-A-Center in your marketplace. That manager is not looking for a job. And so, we'll go find the number one. And it's easy. You walk into any Rent-A-Center, Austin, Texas, Oklahoma City, Charlotte, markets where we are, and you can ask any person in a Rent-A-Center, hey, I need to rent a bunch of furniture. We got some rental properties. Where's the best store you got? Oh, it's over on Highway 52. Excellent. And because that's the number one store, it's because it's got the best manager. You go find that manager. Are they looking for a job? Do they have a resume? Nope. They don't have to. They're number one in the marketplace. And so we'll work on and that's how we do every position. We find the top salesperson in a local market, your top sales associate. And these are people that are not looking for jobs. We want people that are not looking for a job. We want people that are so good at what they do, they're not even thinking about another opportunity. So when we do that, and you got to have lots of people you're working on, it might take us 4 months to get an interview with those people. But that's how we go about it. We sift through a lot of people to find the best ones we can.
So it's all about going after the people who you really, really want.
Absolutely.
Offering them a great wage because they don't want the job. Right?
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they're not even looking for a job.
And you bring them on, and then you can train them under pawn and make them incredible pawnbrokers, managers, regionals, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
Now, let's take it down a level, right? There's a lot of mom and pop shops listening to this. Family-run stores that might have 1 or 2 employees.
Yep.
How do you think they can start doing that? And maybe they might not have the amount of money to pay as much, but how do you get a great employee and build them up if you're barely starting off, if you don't have the funds that, you might have right now?
Culture. I'll tell you what, People want to feel wanted. They want to feel taken care of. And I could start completely over and have no money. And I promise you, I could go find great people and through culture and leadership, offer them a better opportunity for their life, for their family. Part of our, our purpose is to be the best in the world at whatever we do. Be the best in the world, whatever we do for our family. I mean, don't you have people at home you want to take care of? Don't you want to give them the absolute best you can? Well, be the best at what you're doing right now, every day. Be the best you can for your family. And we create that culture. And so, so folks that have a little smaller scale business, you've got to create a culture. It's about getting better every day. And you got to live it too. You got to look better. You got to stripe that parking lot every other day. You got to walk that parking lot for cigarette butts. Your store has to be clean. It's got to be price striped. It's got to smell good. Your reader board's got to be fresh. It's got to be changed. It's got to be current. You got to look good. And if you look good and if you are the best you can be every day, you will find great people regardless of your size. And so you got to look at it. I mean, every day we get up and we play to win. We have a daily huddle up company-wide, 10 minutes before the start of every shift. We do the same thing here in the office. I don't like to be in the office. I like to be out in the stores. And size doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. Anything can solve that. It's where your heart is. It's the culture you create. And you can attract anybody if you've got a great culture and you care about your people and you give them an opportunity.
I think that's the key phrase right there, John. It's you have to care about your people.
Yeah, absolutely. No question.
So many times I hear other pawnbrokers talking bad about their employees. Employees are so stupid. They don't know what they're doing. I've got the worst employees. Employees talking about their owners. My owner's so lazy. So they're creating this horrible culture.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So give me 3 steps, really actionable steps that a pawnbroker can take right now listening to create a better culture. Today, they can, listen to this podcast, and tomorrow they open up their stores. What do they do?
Gotcha. So we have a training called the communication model, which goes through, so I'm going to talk about communicate. So that's my step 1, communicate. And we require 3 meetings each week. And that is the store's got to have a Monday morning meeting with a written agenda. So everybody's leaving on the end of their last shift before the Monday meeting with a written piece of paper with a minimum of four items on it. It's the financial update. It's the operational tasks we need to accomplish this week. It's a training session, and then it's a role play. We're going to role play our training session. So you got to communicate. That's the first meeting of the week. Then we always have a huddle up 10 minutes before the start of the shift as an opportunity to train and reward. And then weekly, we have a required store manager, associate, weekly one-on-one going over 6 questions. I know what is expected of me. I have the materials, equipment I need to do my job, etc. So step one, you gotta communicate. And number 2, you gotta celebrate. You gotta celebrate. Celebrations. You talk about mediocre organizations. They say, "Yep, every quarter, every 90 days, we have a celebration." What? Every 90 days? You got to celebrate today. You got to celebrate before noon. You got to celebrate afternoon. Every chance you've got to celebrate. And then lastly, the leaders need to look in the mirror. Are you somebody that people are going to want to follow? Are you living the life that you, and I'm talking about, do you show up on time? Are you groomed? Are you polite to people? How are you in the relationships that you've got? I mean, people, the leaders, the pawn leaders you're referencing here in this program, our associates watch every move we make. We are the most watched people. So if you're not living a good life, you will never create a good culture. So, I mean, you gotta exhibit that spirit of excellence in everything you do. You can never walk by a piece of trash. Every transaction's got to be done the best. We always have a quote, a phrase we use. And so in our area manager meeting, so store managers, 5 stores, 1 area manager, we say, who's the best pawnbroker in your market? And the area manager better say, it's me, because they need to go into those stores, open to close, do their things they need to do before noon. And the rest of the day, they need to be out on the sales floor in the manager's circle, being the best at customer service in their marketplace. Because what happens is when they're the best at customer service, everybody else does the same. That's how it works.
So let's go over that really quickly. So the 3 things that the listeners can do tomorrow when they open their store? First, I'm going to say the cleanliness, right? Walk around your parking lot,
Absolutely.
make sure there's no trash, make sure your stores are clean. I've walked into a lot of pawn shops where there's a lot of crap everywhere, too much merchandise. You're saying get clean.
Get clean.
Get
Absolutely.
clean. All right. Number two, communicate, which I couldn't agree with you more. Communicate. You guys have morning huddles. You guys have weekly meetings. Whatever that is, communicate. Even if you start with a monthly meeting to start, just to say,
go. If you those 3 meetings, a Monday morning meeting, everybody's got to be in attendance. A daily huddle up, 10 minutes before the start of the shift, and a weekly one-on-one. Every associate gets time.
like
Monday is your one-on-one. Tuesday is your one-on-one. Wednesday, you said, I got to tell you what. Over time, those weekly one-on-ones, over time being 6 months, you will develop trust. People will become to when they've got an issue, they know Monday's my one-on-one. We're gonna resolve that. And so,
and you get to know your staff.
absolutely,
right? The staff connects with you, and
Yep.
and you also don't fester issues. There's no resentment because every week you're going to talk it out.
Yep. Every week we're going to talk it out. That's exactly right.
John, that's actually being courageous, right? Because a lot of times owners, pawnbrokers don't want to hash things out with their employees. They want to blame them. They want to, justify why they don't talk to them. So I think it's a great, great rule. So cleanliness, communicate, celebration. I love to celebrate. I agree with you. If somebody hits a great number, if something great happens, a big sale, there was my chiropractor actually, when somebody has a test that results over 90% health, they ring a bell in the store, right?
Yeah.
They're just celebrating. Yes, this is great health. So love celebration. And then leadership. Look at yourself.
Look at yourself. Yep.
Right? And know that everyone's looking at you.
Yep. Yeah.
So
always. Yep. Gotta look at yourself. Are you getting better every day? Are you getting better physically? Are you getting better relationally? Our people are watching everything we do, and so you need to inspire them. And yeah.
Now let's talk about something that you might have forgotten about or don't want to talk about, or maybe it's in your mind every single day. We all make big mistakes.
Absolutely.
What are 3 mistakes that pawnbrokers are making today that you've made over time? And in your consulting, you might walk in and say, these are the same 3 mistakes I see every single time. And it might go back to the communication, the celebration, the leadership. But what are the 3 biggest mistakes that pawn shops are making today that if they take a turn tomorrow in fixing it, improving it, it would make a difference in their bottom line?
Yep. So 3 things come to mind in a hurry. 1, people. You got to have great people. People do not change. And so you've got to and if they do, they only change temporarily. So you got to have great people, okay? And people that do the job. Our mantra is life should be fun and easy. And if you got great people that are doing a good job and working hard to hit their goals, fun and easy. Number 1, you got to have good people. And good people do not cost money. They make you money. And so many times people are narrow in that. It's going to cost you. No. Your cheap employees cost you more money than you can count. You got to get the right people that can do the job. I will tell you, I was in Texas, and I heard somebody we were discussing about doing a transaction with, and they're like, you just can't get good people around here. So what do you pay? I said $8, $9 an hour. Why? I said, well, Whataburger, they got a sign up that says hiring at $14 an hour. You're telling me you're going to try to provide good opportunity for people at 8 and then go make 14? You got to give me. So number 1, people. Number 2, financial literacy. It's amazing how many organizations we walk into. I say, do you have a budget? Sometimes absolutely. I say, okay, a budget is revenue, expenses, profit, January, February to December. That's a budget. Do you have a budget? Yes, we do. Do your store managers have that budget? Well, we kind of, if the store manager cannot tell you what their net income is, you do not have a budget. So you got to have a financial strategy. You got to have a budget in place. And along with that, you have a monthly meeting with your managers, ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever the number is, upon net income. Celebrate, go through the financials. So you got to have a financial statement approach in place. Lastly, culture, leadership, and development. That's the 3rd piece. I'll call it training. And today, if you upgraded your people. And it does take a while to upgrade your people. It could take 6 months to a year, but you got to upgrade your people. You can implement a financial strategy today. And one of the reasons we get dramatic improvement in these acquisitions we make is you got people walking around all day that don't have a goal. And you got to have a financial strategy. And then lastly, culture, leadership, and training. I mean, everybody in our organization, I'm in my office right now. We've got about 35 folks that work here. They all have been through the circle of the sale training. They know exactly what that is. They've all been through our pawn loan qualification training. Everybody in this organization knows the bedrocks of our two customer engaging trainings. And so you can start training today and it'll have a big impact. And, it's fun to win. And it gives you a chance to celebrate when you see somebody add on to a sale or convert or redeem into just a extension payment. And so people, financial strategy, and then training, culture, leadership, and development.
Love it. Now, we've been talking for about 20 minutes, and I know you're all about culture. But a lot of times, a lot of people say you need to just lend more and sell for less and lend more and sell for less.
Yeah.
I think that the pawn industry, and I say this in almost every single podcast because I think it's important for the pawn brokers to understand this. No longer is this business an open a door, make money type of business because of the online competition.
Absolutely.
We have to become better leaders, better marketers, and better strategists.
Absolutely.
So 3 things: better leaders, better marketers, and better strategists. Where does the lending more and the sales come into your smart moves?
Well, it's so interesting you talk about our competitors. And I've been in the industry since 1985, and it's more competitive than it's ever been. And why in the world would you carry your TV down to get a loan when you could go online and get a $3,500 loan? Oh my gosh. And then make payments online. It's competitive. And we cannot be naive about that. And so, loan more, you got to loan more to the right people. And that's why we do not move people around store to store. We keep them in the same store because, people don't come to see Smart Pawn and Jewelry. They come to see Maria in the store. So lending more is a relationship aspect, and we always want to loan more to our good customers. We literally just did a average loan measure and conversation this week because it's crazy how you're just getting when you got a store that's got an average loan, I'm making up numbers of $115, and down the road you got one that's $180 or $90. You got to train people to give more. It's that $5 here, $10 there. So smart loaning more is where you got to be. In sales, I mean, we are big believers in contests and celebrating. And so, to drive sales, we're always all about our stores have got to be priced right. And every time you walk into a store, there is an area manager opportunity to inspect pricing on the floor. And we call it, let's make a deal. You walk up to an item, your TV wall, you cover the TV, and we all agree what the price should be. Move our hand and see how close you are. It's always mispriced. It's not always mispriced, but there's always room for improvement. And you just can't be on top of it enough because anything in a pawn shop that's clean and priced right sells. And so
say that again. It's got to be clean and priced right.
Yep, that's it. If it's clean and priced right, it will sell.
If not, you're hoarding.
Yeah. Oh, you become the old proverbial museum, and and so clean and priced right. And so this is such an inspection business, and that's why, externally, a lot of folks think this business is easy. You loan money, you sell. At the transaction level is where all the complexity is, because our associates have to determine what they're going to loan. When it comes out, they got to determine what they're going to price. And, at Walmart, they don't do that. They don't, Costco, they don't determine the price of the items coming in. They don't determine the cost of the items coming in. They don't determine the price going out. And so it's a really complex business. And, what we really kind of focused on, back to the complexity and the sale, your question was, how do we sell stuff? What are our thoughts on that? Is we've been really going after these mall store managers that all make kind of 35, 40. They're really not managers. They're not leaders. They're more organizers. And bringing them in at what they're making or more, and having them be sales associates. Oh my gosh, our minimum weekly sales goal is $3,500. You sell $3,500, you get 3% commission. We have brought in folks. We just did this. We had our staffing review. we've got a group of folks. Our recruiters are just doing a great job, but we've got folks that have started in a couple of weeks are selling 10,000 a week. I mean, it's hustle, 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 and I wish we had trained them to do that. Not even close. I mean, we sculpted them a little bit with our training and our approach. They brought all the heavy lifting. They are the folks that are engaging, that smile, that are persuasive, that close. Those are things that are hard to train.
Let me ask you a quick question. And it was brought up in the Facebook group in the Pawn Leaders community. I remember when we did the same thing. We gave a commission and it all started right. And there was one guy who was a bully and he was stealing sales from people. He would, go around and say, that's my sale. He'd push people around, not physically, but because of his size and his demeanor. And when we were giving all these commissions and we wanted to give back to our employees, at some point it started going sour. And we refined it and we fixed it at the end. But how can people, because I know a lot of pawn shop owners are saying, well, if I give commissions, I have fights. If I'm doing productivity on the pawn counter, I'm having somebody say, that's my loan, that's not your loan. How do you guys handle that moving forward?
I got to tell you, the world is a commission-based the world is commission-based. We're all in some form or fashion trying to do better, whether it's to get a raise, a weekly pay commission or whatever. And so we are very pro commission. And, part of our psychological profile, we test 6 attributes of human behavior. There's 32 dimensions of human behavior, but we really focus on 6. And if their emotional score, which is self-esteem, and social score are not where we need them to be, you got people that don't play well together. And really, bullies will become bullies in any environment. They just happen to become more of a bully in this go for it commission. And there's all kinds of retail strategies on rotating the salesperson and all that kind of stuff. We think that's all hogwash. You got to get great people that work well together. And
let me ask you a question, John. Sorry, that test that you're talking about, is that the TTS test?
Yes, it is. That's right.
Okay, because you're the second person that's mentioned the TTS test.
Well, they probably got it from.
Probably
from us. I mean, we've been using it for a long time. There's a lot of psychological tests. The trick about a psychological test is you need to go get your top performers, people you'd hire all day long, and test them, and they will validate where you want to go. And then that's when you test people, you want to make sure their test scores are like your top performers. You see what I'm saying?
And what does that stand? The TTS, that's a Thurston
test of temperament.
Test of temperament. Gotcha.
Yep.
So it's the Thurston test of temperament.
Yep.
And that way you know what emotional IQ they have, what social skills they have before they even come in.
Absolutely.
Right in the sandbox.
Yep. And to that point, we're not going to fix anybody. If they don't meet our, high energy, active, impulsive, can deal with things quickly, active, impulsive, dominant. You got to be dominant. You got to be dominant enough to push the sale. Active, impulsive, dominant, emotional. Got to have a good sense of self. We're going to be dealing with other people and people that don't feel good about themselves. Mm-hmm. Just all over. Don't play well. They'll have big bad days. Good. They're too hard. And social. We hope we're around a bunch of people because we hope we got a really busy store. And and then reflective. How quickly can they make a decision? And when they don't score like our, we literally have hundreds of thousands of these, and you only need one, and that's the right one. You can keep 100,000, but when people fit the right winner category, then it's all up to the store manager to create the culture that holds it together. We've had a lot of great people leave us because we had a bad manager, and so it really takes. You got to have a standard set of interview questions. I mean, these are psychologically substantiated, where you go and ask, how do you like to be managed? Are you opposed to being held accountable? Do you like, having numeric issues? Anyway, you got to have a standard set of interview questions. You cannot shoot from the hip. You got to have a psychological profile. You got to have an observation day. I mean, you need people to come in and spend a half a day watching what they're going to do. And then you've got to have a great orientation program. And then you got to have a monthly training program. And so it's really all of those things that you have to execute. And, and John, you're giving away all your secrets. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. All this is called hard work. So it's all, look, we'll tell you everything we know. You tell us everything you know. It's all goes down to hard work. There are no secrets. There are no secrets.
And this is all for the betterment of the pawn industry anyways.
Absolutely. Listen, in the United States, whatever the number is, 14,000. I mean, we want this industry to do well. I want to go to markets where we're not and see stores that are well lit, that are painted, parking lots that are striped, smartly dressed associates, because that's our image. I mean, we want to look good.
It's safe to say, and this is a question that was on the Facebook group, how does this work in all different countries? And I'm going to just say it out there and tell me if you agree with it. It's better people equals a better bottom line.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what language you're speaking.
Doesn't matter what language, what city. It's better people, better bottom line.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, we've worked in South America, Central America. We've worked, far west, Canada, where we own stores today. And, we've worked in the Caribbean. And look, you gotta have great teams. You gotta have excellence in every role. You gotta have green and clean stores and environment. Green and clean is not about the environment. It's about your physical facility and plant, your people. You got to have an open culture, trust, and accountability, and you got to celebrate. It's all of those things. Works in every country. No country's better or worse. They all provide the same opportunity. If you deliver great customer service with people that care and have a long-term approach, you're going to do well.
Nice, John. I think we should wrap up. That was incredible. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. I do want to give away 5 of your books, The Smart Moves Management. Yep. So if you're listening to the podcast, text the word pawn, PAWN, to the number 444-999. Again, text the word pawn, PAWN, to 444-999 to be in to win one of John's books. Please don't text and drive. Pull over if you're listening to this in the car. Once again, John, thank you for being with us. And to the listeners, thanks for spending your time and joining us on the Pawn Leaders Podcast. And remember to check out the Pawn Leaders Podcast community on Facebook, where we continue the conversations about the episodes. John, before we go, where can people find you and how can they find you?
So our Smart Financial website or our Initiative Consulting website, we do both. We have a consulting firm and we have our chain of stores. And so you can find me there. And we're happy to, hey, look, I'm 55 years old. I'm in this business and I want everybody to do well. When you have an abundance mentality, that if we all work together, we make this pie bigger, not smaller. It's not a small pie, it's a big pie. And we all have got to do the best we can for each other.
Love it. Thank you so much for being on, John. Appreciate your wisdom.